away, but it's like, for any person who questions whether a woman belongs in this industry, it's like, well, you can try our products and you can see for yourself, and you can try our competition and you can see what you like better, and you be the judge, because that's my technique. Everything else falls to the side and is basically irrelevant when you focus on the task at hand. And I'm really working for a higher purpose here. Like, I'm here to get my products to the people, and that's my wave of activism. I ripple them out, and each one's a moment of relief for people to hopefully relieve themselves, whether it's from insomnia, a skin condition, pain, anxiety, depression, being a workaholic, trying to get off opioids, like whatever it could be. Like, each and every product that we make is literally an opportunity for somebody to feel relief. So I take it really seriously. And I know that if I stick to my mission like glue and I stay aligned with what I'm here to do, everything else falls into place. So people see these accolades from competitions and, they're like, oh, well, who's that? I mean, with all these awards, who's that? And then they look us up, and lo and behold, we're a bunch of girls. And does that make me feel good? Fuck yes, it does. It makes me feel really good.
That's awesome.
I'm proud because I know we earned our way fair and square,
Yeah.
So we're here to do the work.
And that's one thing I've always found so powerful with OM, is that you guys clearly have this mission that you're subscribing to so strongly that it just shines through everything that you do. It's like you can just see that it's just good. You know what I mean?
Thanks, sweetie. I really appreciate you seeing that in us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's kind of funny. It's a little bit your fault that I'm actually in the cannabis industry, believe it or not. So yeah, I ran into your products years ago when I was in California. I had always used cannabis recreationally, and I'd never thought about using it medically, which is ridiculous because I have a lot of neurological issues and cannabis is so good for the brain, which sounds a bit weird. But
well, you didn't realize that you were probably using it medicinally unconsciously.
That's exactly it. And so as I was on this whirlwind trip in California, educating myself, I went to a dispensary called Emerald Farms.
Oh, I love Emerald Farms. I'm so glad you went there.
Yeah, it was a completely weirdly magical experience. Like, I walked in there and it's like I'd felt something in my body, that something had clicked. And I spoke with Chelsea there, and we spoke for a really, really long time. I think I was in there for like 2-3 hours. And
Chelsea's my very good friend.
Really? Oh, that's why she mentioned you, and she showed me all of your products, and I left with a couple things that she really wonderfully gifted me, because at the time California was not a legal state. Anyway, I managed to get some of your products and I tried them, and seeing that not only there was an industry out there that could do this, but also that there was a company that was run by women that was making this kind of stuff just inspired me. And the minute I figured out the Canadian industry, I started pushing to get into it.
That's amazing.
So thank you.
Yeah. And what are you doing now in the industry?
So I work for one of the licensed producers of cannabis here in Canada, and I do business development. So I work more on the medical side, which is really interesting. I get to speak to a lot of doctors, and it's interesting to sort of get to have conversations with people who don't necessarily believe cannabis is anything other than, a drug for stoners, and to start bringing that education and that change in mindset.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing for the past few years. And yeah.
Good for you. That's amazing. So you're basically educating doctors, or are the doctors doing studies and you're checking in with them, or?
So I'm educating doctors. I have a little bit of a soft spot for women in cannabis. So I have been looking, just for myself personally, I've used cannabis for menstrual cramps for years now, and I've tried to make my own topicals. I've used yours actually as well. And so I'm starting to try and bring that conversation to doctors. So actually my mission this year has been to speak to as many gynecologists as I can about cannabis for endometriosis, cannabis for perhaps like more neuropathic pain issues like vulvodynia or something like that, where women are really suffering. And it's an area of medicine where doctors don't tend to focus as much. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to start bringing some awareness, or at least some studies or something there.
Well, you can just tell all the girls that they can dip their tampon in coconut oil that's clean and organic, medicated coconut oil, and it's like applying a topical to your uterus.
I love that. I'd never actually thought of that. You're giving me a reason to use tampons now.
Well, or a suppository of some sort. I mean, I really feel that suppositories are the future. Like, you got to realize that cannabinoids have to make contact with receptors to make a lock and key effect. So every entryway that we have is a way to make contact. So that's why utilizing, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but like utilizing the colon, the yoni. Okay, yeah. If people are really sick and dealing with things or in a lot of pain, like endometriosis, like utilizing those entryways because they don't get your head, quote, high, quote, but they make quick contact for cancer cells or abnormal cells of any sort, or bacteria, viruses, funguses. Cannabinoids are antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial, and antimicrobial. So, it's just like this immunity. And I just, I encourage all women to use cannabis suppositories if they can, like with a full spectrum medicine if they can, like THC and CBD.
Yeah, I've actually just started. I got a butter machine recently, and I'm going to start making my own suppositories. I just bought molds on Amazon, and that's my next big project, is getting into that, because I think, well, in Canada especially, we don't have access to all of the medicinal aspects of cannabis that you guys have in California. We're stuck with the oil that has to be an ingestible oil, or the bud, pretty much.
So when you go through that process to create those, just remember you're making something that's going to go into this vulnerable part of you. And so make sure you clean all of your stuff with white vinegar. Like, you can use rubbing alcohol if you want, but white vinegar won't throw off your pH. It's a lot cheaper, and it kills everything.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that. I was planning on using alcohol.
You can get a big bottle for so cheap and just submerge the whole mold in like a bowl of it. And then like rinse it off with water, and then carefully like let it dry in the sun, or stick it in the oven on low and like let it dry, because you don't want any water in it, because water brings life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the moment, I guess, that you're most proud of so far in your cannabis career, in your journey with cannabis?
Oh my God.
You can do a top 3 too if you want.
I mean, I'll tell you what they are. Like, these are the moments that like make it worth it. Hearing that in some way we've facilitated somebody to have relief from cannabis, partnering with Whoopi, getting the permit in California this year, and then just the love that people show us. Basically, it feels really good to be seen.
Yeah. I feel so proud to have a company like yours out in the world making sort of strides for women in this industry.
Thank you, Angel. That's really sweet. All the support from all the women over all these years, it's what's kept us going.
Yeah. I guess, is there anything else that you want to say? Anything else that you want to share? A message that you want to get out there? Yeah,
I do have messages for people. Let's see. I just encourage people to connect with this plant, and, not all consumption has to get you high. Some people are candidates for topicals forever, and some people are candidates for CBD forever. So, especially for people that would like to make medicine or products for other people, it's so important to know what you're serving. So it's really good to humble yourself with cannabis and find out what it is like to eat too strong of an edible, or find out what it feels like to attempt to trim a couple buds, or find out what it's like to take a cannabis bath. Just get to know this plant, and you can ask her to show you anything that you want. And when you're lined up and synced up with cannabis and your intention's in the right place, I just feel like doors open.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's super beautiful. So it's funny that, they call it lock and key. Think about all the doors that cannabis opens by being a connecting plant that it is, So that's my words to the wise. find out what profiles work for you. And like, there's a reason that like each strain smells differently. It's letting you know that they're all different from each other. Without the terpenes, all cannabis would be the same. So get to know what you like and what works for your body.
I've started, now that I've kind of learned a lot more about the plant itself and all of the I can't say that in English, pharmacology around it, I've started switching to a more intuitive use of cannabis and just literally sitting around trying to smell whichever cannabis seems to resonate with me and taking that. And it's such a powerful way to medicate, I find.
That's great.
I guess before we sign off, do you have any tips for any women out there who are looking at you and looking at the industry and looking at what they can do?
Yeah. Make the kind of products that you would like to consume and get in line with the spirit of this plant.
Yeah. And thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me. This goes into the highlights of my own little cannabis journey so far. So I'm so happy we got to connect.
Keep up your amazing work. And when you come to California, make sure you reach out, and I'd love to give you a little gift basket.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I definitely will. And I really hope that we'll cross paths in person. Actually, I feel like we will.
I hope so. All right, dear. You take care.
Well, thank you so much for sticking around. We really hope that you enjoyed the first episode of Sessions. As you can see, we are doing things a little bit differently to ensure that you get fresh ideas every time you tune into the Sessions podcast. Once again, a big thank you to the wonderful Ming and Maya. Their details can be found in the show notes for this episode. As always, if you like what you heard and if you're keen on hearing more of my carefully crafted outros, please take a moment to leave a review. And to prove how grateful we are, we'll be giving 2 of our reviewers a free copy of Volume 2 of the Herbalife magazine, which is coming out this month. And that's not all. You'll also be entered into the draw to win a PAX Vaporizer at the conclusion of Sessions Season 1. Sessions is committed to broadening the cannabis conversation by highlighting the women working in the industry. Each episode, we have a new set of hosts discussing contemporary cannabis issues, giving you a direct line into the evolving cannabis landscape. Don't miss out on the next Sessions episode and subscribe now. Sessions by Herbalife is a production of Blue Dream Media, produced by Tiana Matliowski and executive producer Jill Pollard.